intense conversation around the finance bill, it had to collapse. And soon after, the president had to come out and try to adjust. And hopefully, the start was that he'll start with the austerity measures. But like we said, that went well as a conference. But the implementation has had its own challenges. We have not seen much. Even the latest, if you remember, we've had just the renovation of the State House with a budget that cannot be explained to Kenyans, and yet it is taxpayers' money. We have further had another dubious expenditure for the campaign of the AU candidate. Still, a dubious figure that is not being explained. And now here we are, as the budget process continues. It began soon after the finance bill, around August last year. We are faced with a remuneration that really does not speak to any reduction on the expenditure. And we know that a huge, or rather a significant percentage of our tax that is collected by the government goes to the expenditure. It would have been prudent, especially for the president and the executive at large, to try and lead by example. But when you see such headlines today about a potential and possible increase of pay rise, and also, MPs have been agitating here and there, it's very sad, because we have doctor interns who are not being paid, who had to face a reduction of a figure that they were expecting. And many others, even right now, the capitation, the release of the funds has been staggered because apparently there is not enough finances. So when you see this coming up, it really speaks that to my thinking that the president is not listening to what the Kenyans.
Could it just be one of those things planted in the budget so that the president can come out later and say, no, we are not going to get that because not this time, just for him to look good?
We have seen such gimmicks in the past, and I would hope it is a gimmick. However, even if it may be one, still it evokes negative emotions. It just is not healthy for the country given what we are struggling with.
Right.
Yes.
And yes, we'll be talking about this issue even with my colleagues at Radio 47, Mwashumbe and Mwakideu. I'll be joining them shortly just to take a look at this, because if you see some of the salaries on page 4 and 5 of the Star, the president is already earning 1.4 million shillings, but according to the proposed budget, it could go as high as 1.6 million shillings. But when it comes to the budget making process, this was a big discussion last year, leading to the revolution by the Gen Zs. But it would appear that we now have a bigger budget with no way of funding it, and we are seeing opulence even more. If you look at the front page of the Daily Nation, there's a discrepancy in the figures being presented in Parliament that show about a discrepancy of about 73 billion shillings that cannot be explained, meaning that there could be a lot of mischief in the budget-making process.
Not there could be, there is. You see, the budget-making process ought to be based on concise feedback and observations and analysis, and also a proper projection on our potential financial pattern and behavior of the country. But I don't know why we keep not listening. We've had the Auditor General over and over come out and say, well, there is budgeted corruption, there is misappropriation of funds, but that seems not to sink.
Okay.
And then you look on the flip side, it is a sad story, because on one end, we are still, taxation still continues to go high. I know the bottom-up economic model was the taxation-based economic financial structure and model. But the way it is being handled, on one end, they are quick to collect. On the other end, is about expenditure. Even without looking at where the money is going, whether it's going to salaries or projects, the point is, we are not able to utilize the little resources we have. And remember, we are also struggling with debt repayment.
Yes.
It would have been more prudent for the president to take